Going on a cruise has never been more popular, but there are some mistakes that will definitely scream first time cruisers, but you know what? They're easily avoidable and you don't have to make them. And I've got a tip at the end of this video about something first time cruisers always buy, but I'm going to tell you it's a complete waste of money. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Making a mistake on a cruise ship is not uncommon. We all do that, even happens to me. The thing is, the most obvious rookie mistakes are the ones that are easily avoidable with just a little bit of advanced information. New cruisers, by definition, have never cruised before. They're unfamiliar with it all, and it's easy for them to fall into some really common traps. Now, I could spend hours talking about every nuance and tip and trick within taking a Royal Caribbean cruise, but today I want to focus on the most important critical cruise tips that first-time cruisers always seem to make, and it's really avoidable so you don't have to make the same ones. First up is not having a passport. Now, if you're an American taking a cruise from the United States that begins and ends in the same port, then you're probably aware that you could cruise with a birth certificate because that's acceptable along with state-issued ID. But this is actually a big mistake. First and foremost, having a passport is way easier. It allows you to do the check-in process a lot faster, and when you get off the cruise ship, it is insanely faster because there's facial recognition. There's no forms to fill out, nobody to talk to, it's super simple. But the real reason to get a passport is truly about protecting yourself in case of an unforeseen circumstance. If you were to get stuck in a foreign country, whether you got injured, were late to back to the cruise ship, or whatever, any reason out there, if you have a passport, you can fly home immediately without any issue. But if you have a birth certificate, you're stuck. You need to go to the nearest US consulate, which could be hours away, and get a visa to get out of the country. Is that a likely scenario? No, admittedly. However, it's just a good course of action, and all too often we see news stories out there of people that get stuck in foreign countries because they cruise without a passport. Moreover, a passport lasts 10 years, and it's an investment in your travel future. That doesn't mean you can't take other forms of travel around the world and leverage that passport. Sure, it has a cost, and there's a little bit of paperwork involved, but I'm telling you from experience, everybody who cruises a lot always has a passport, and it's for good reason. Number two is not doing online check-in. Royal Caribbean, I think, has the best and easiest check-in process of any cruise line out there. Their app is super simple, and it makes the online check-in process even easier. You can scan your passport, take a selfie, answer all the information you need to, and basically what it's also going to do is when you get to the cruise terminal on embarkation day, you're going to walk through the entire process. It's super simple, and it's a lot different than checking in for a flight for your airline. While there is a sort of similar component to it with security and check-in, I'm telling you, if you do everything in the Royal Caribbean app, it makes it so much easier. So not only should you download the Royal Caribbean app, but do every step within the online check-in so that way you can go from curb to ship in a matter of a few minutes. It's incredible. And by the way, related to the app, you just need to have the app downloaded at least on one device for at least everybody in your stateroom to be able to do the online check-in for. It's really easy and I highly recommend it. Number three is not researching your cruise port. The top two reasons people book a cruise vacation is for either the destinations they're going to or the food on board. And when you're talking about these awesome places you're going to, not researching your ports is a really big mistake because all too often I will see people who have not booked any excursions before the cruise begins. Not doing research, or at least a little bit of advanced research into where you're going to go, what you're going to do, really sets you up for a disaster or at least a bad time in port. Now, some ports are very conducive for walking around and exploring, primarily Europe, but in a lot of places, especially the Caribbean, this is not the case, and it really behooves you to have a good plan in place. You want to look up the different tour operators and look up what different options there are, activities, price shop, and get the best deal for you. Moreover, things sell out. This is a really common issue now, even with Royal Caribbean excursions, where if you wait to get on board the ship, things are going to be sold out, and all you're going to have left are the lame-o excursions that are like on buses and really aren't that interesting. Plus, you really want to go to one of these places, whether it's a beautiful Caribbean beach or an amazing historical site in Europe or wherever, get there and then realize, oh gosh, I've made a terrible mistake. This is totally not what I wanted, and this could have also been avoided if I had just looked things up ahead of time. I'm also going to add one more caveat to not researching your ports, and that is limiting yourself to excursions sold just through Royal Caribbean. Now, Royal Caribbean does make it really easy to book a shore excursion through them, so there's nothing wrong with that. The issue is limiting yourself to only tours through the cruise line may leave you without the best option out there. In many cases, you can save a lot of money and get better tours by booking shore excursions through independent tour operators in ports, or even going through a tour booking service. I don't want to scare you from booking a tour through Royal Caribbean. I've done this in the past, but generally speaking, there's a real advantage to looking at third-party excursions in addition to what Royal Caribbean has to offer. By going through a third party, you might find a better price, you might find a smaller group size so you're not in a larger group, and even more convenient times for your tour. Not to mention, there's a far greater variety of activities when you book on your own, so it's a really good idea to compare both what Royal Caribbean has to offer as well as tours on your own. Don't just limit yourself to official cruise line excursions until you've researched what the top things are to do in port and to see what options are out there. Number 4 is something that may be eye-opening for someone who's never taken a cruise before, but you really should use a travel agent to book your cruise. Because cruises are so personalized and there's so many decisions that are factored into your family as opposed to somebody else, there is so much value with a travel agent. It's not about booking a cruise, because anybody can book a cruise. It's not the reason you should use a travel agent. The reason you use a TA is for all the experience, advice, and expertise they bring to the process with all sorts of issues you may have. There's really a lot more value with a good travel agent, not in just picking a room, but everything that happens between when you actually book the cruise and the actual sailing itself. Royal Caribbean makes mistakes. You can encounter unforeseen circumstances. A travel agent is your partner in all of this, and a really good travel agent costs you nothing extra to use because they get a commission from the cruise line. So you should be charged nothing extra to use their services, but only gain their benefits that they provide to you. I use a travel agent for every single cruise I book. I recommend using a travel agent to all my friends and family. It really does make a difference and just makes your life easier. To find a really good travel agent, you really want to go from word of mouth. Talk to friends and family. We do recommend MEI Travel. They're our sponsor here at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, but talk to people who've used these travel agents before, and that can be a really good starting point to finding a good one out there. Something else that has become really a must-do that all too often I see first-time cruisers skipping is travel insurance. So nobody expects the worst to happen on their vacation, understandably so. But if you're not buying travel insurance for your cruise, you are playing with fire. The reason being that travel insurance is more than glorified medical coverage. It covers a lot of unforeseen circumstances that cause people to need to cancel their cruise at the very last minute. Situations like losing your job, having a deployment within the military, a death in the immediate family, a injury, car accident, transportation issue that prevents you from getting to the cruise ship, and a variety of other circumstances are covered by travel insurance. And then, of course, travel insurance also kicks in for other situations, like, of course, getting injured on the cruise ship or in port, if you were to get sick, reimbursing you for lost luggage, and a variety of other scenarios you just never think about. Travel insurance is really not that expensive. You pay for it for the value of your cruise. Basically, it's like a percentage of it, but it's oftentimes pretty inexpensive. And even though you'll probably not use it, it's the best value you can get just in case. And I'm going to tell you, travel insurance is something that everybody should really get, whether it's their first cruise or their 50th. Another big rookie mistake is chasing price and getting the wrong stateroom or even cruise ship for you. I get it. You all want to get a deal out there. You want to find the lowest price. And it's really tempting when you're looking at cruise prices. It's like, oh, look, that price is fantastic. Look, honey, we can get this room and all 4 of us can be in this one cabin. And you know what? We'll be on that cruise. Sounds like a great idea when you're at home. But let me tell you something. Cruise ship cabins are much smaller than you're used to. Even hotel rooms are much bigger than most cruise ship cabins, especially when you're talking about inside rooms. Now, keep in mind that you're also going to only have like one bathroom, and the sleeping quarters can be very, very tight. If you're putting 4 people in a cabin, more often than not, if it's an inside cabin, that means 2 of you are in a bed, and 2 of you are either in a Pullman bed, which is a bed that comes down from the ceiling, or someone's sleeping on a couch. It can kind of feel like sleeping in a coffin in some cases because it's very, very confined. Not to mention, there's very limited living space. Now, I'm not telling you shouldn't book all 4 of you in one cabin. That's not necessarily a mistake in and of itself, but really don't just chase the price. This is, again, where it's really good to work with a good travel agent out there, but pick the right cabin category for you. In many cases, booking 2 rooms for your family is not as expensive as you might think. As an example, instead of putting all 4 of you in one balcony room, booking 2 connecting inside rooms where you have 2 separate rooms and 2 separate bathrooms could be a huge win for your family and really not that expensive. I'd also leverage that exact tip for suites, because a lot of times people say, all right, man, I'm just going to book a suite for everybody. We're going to throw money at the problem. And I guess you could do that if you wanted to, but you might be throwing money away literally because, again, getting connecting rooms might be a better value and also still give you more space than even a suite, because many suites still don't have multiple bathrooms and may not be quite as large in terms of the amount of living space that you might imagine. The final two mistakes are two things that rookie cruisers do all the time, and these are the two. Listen, you can maybe argue about the ones we've talked about earlier as being, well, I don't need to do this, Matt. The last two, no negotiation. Number one, flying in the same day your cruise begins. Do you want to miss your cruise and ruin your vacation and lose out on money because you're not getting a refund for missing the cruise because you were late to it? That's really what you're playing with when we're talking about flying in the same day your cruise begins. You never want to do that. Instead, fly in at least one day before your cruise begins. In fact, if you do it 2 or 3, even better. You start vacation a little bit earlier and you guard against a travel delay, like a flight, flat tire. I don't know what else could stop you from getting to the cruise terminal on time, but that's a big one. And number 2 is not keeping your phone in airplane mode. Many people are completely unaware that when your cruise ship sails away, you're off in international waters, and with that, your cell phone service goes away. And if you leave your phone on, your phone could end up roaming on your cruise ship cell network, which is not within your home carrier network. And long story short, you're gonna come back with like $1,000 cell phone bill. So what you wanna do in this situation is put your phone into airplane mode and avoid that from happening altogether. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said I would talk about one thing that's really controversial for first-time cruisers, and that is to not buy the key. Buying the key, which is Royal Caribbean's VIP program, seems like the easy button for a great Royal Caribbean cruise. Royal Caribbean sells it per person to allow you certain VIP benefits like priority check-in and a special lunch for you when you get on board the ship, to reserve times for activities, an internet package for everybody, and a variety of other benefits that come with it. The problem with the key is that the benefits sound amazing when you're reading them, but in practice, they're borderline useless, or not as useful, rather, as you might think. Most of the benefits, the best ones, are only available on embarkation day, and they last just a couple of hours. More importantly, nearly all of the benefits can be attained on your own if you're willing to do just a little bit of work in advance to get them out there. The only one that you really can't get on your own is the ability to check in luggage that you carry onto the ship and then have delivered to your cabin. But we're talking about a benefit that lasts maximum 3 hours until your cabin is ready. And I really don't think it's worthwhile to buy something that's going to last you for the entire cruise just for that one benefit out there. Now, after this video, I'm going to link to a video right here that you can watch all about why the key is not worth it and why you shouldn't spend your money on it. There you have the top rookie cruise mistakes not to make. I mean, there's a lot of other things you should or shouldn't do on a cruise, but those are like more in the weeds. These are the Mount Rushmore of cruise mistakes not to do. Hopefully this will help you out and ensure you have a wonderful cruise vacation and you won't make any of these mistakes. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel. We got way more tips and tricks and helpful advice for you about your Royal Caribbean cruise, so don't miss out on any of it. That way YouTube notifies you when we have a new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.